James Thorpe's Principles of Textual Criticism explores the methodologies, challenges, and philosophical underpinnings of textual criticism, particularly in relation to literary studies. Published by the Huntington Library, this book delves into the intricate process of establishing authoritative texts through the comparison, evaluation, and emendation of extant manuscripts and editions. Thorpe's work is notable for its balanced treatment of both theoretical concerns and practical applications, making it an essential resource for scholars engaged in textual studies. Thorpe discusses the question of textual authority and authenticity. He examines the tension between authorial intent and the realities of textual transmission, emphasizing that no single manuscript or edition can be deemed entirely definitive. Rather, the critic must engage in a careful and systematic reconstruction of the text by weighing variants, assessing scribal errors, and considering historical and bibliographic evidence. He argues that textual criticism is not merely a mechanical collation of texts, but an interpretative act requiring judgment and expertise. Thorpe situates his study within the broader history of textual criticism, tracing its evolution from classical philology to modern editorial theory. He discusses influential figures such as Karl Lachmann, whose genealogical method emphasized the construction of stemmata to determine textual relationships, and Joseph B. Deere, who challenged the rigidity of this approach by advocating for eclecticism. Thorpe also acknowledges the contributions of Anglo-American scholars, including W. Gregg and Fredson Bowers, who advanced bibliographical approaches that account for the materiality of texts, including printing house practices, and the role of compositors in shaping editions. Thorpe outlines the causes of textual variation, ranging from unintentional scribal errors, such as haplography, omission of text, ditography, duplication of text, and misreading of letters, to deliberate alterations introduced by editors, printers, or even authors themselves in later revisions. He underscores the necessity of establishing a hierarchy of evidence, prioritizing readings that are more likely to reflect authorial intention, while remaining attentive to the complexities of textual transmission. Thorpe also addresses the editorial challenges associated with different eras and periods. He acknowledges that textual criticism must be adapted to the specific characteristics of the works under consideration, whether they be classical texts, transmitted through manuscript traditions, Renaissance drama, printed with inconsistent spelling and punctuation, or modern literary texts, subject to multiple authorial revisions. His discussion of Shakespearean textual criticism, for example, highlights the difficulties posed by the coexistence of quarto and folio editions, each containing unique variants that complicate the establishment of a definitive text. Thorpe explores the concept of the ideal text and the extent to which an editor can reconstruct an author's original intentions. He critiques the notion of an unchangeable perfect text, arguing instead that all texts exist within a continuum of revision and interpretation. He also considers the implications of textual indeterminacy, acknowledging that editorial decisions are often influenced by cultural, ideological, and personal biases. In doing so, he anticipates later developments in post-structuralist and deconstructive approaches to textuality, which challenge the idea of fixed meanings and stable texts. Thorpe advocates for a pragmatic and flexible approach to editing. He suggests that editors must balance rigorous analytical methods with a recognition of the text's historical and literary contexts, rather than adhering dogmatically to a single editorial methodology. He encourages the integration of multiple approaches, allowing for a more nuanced and comprehensive reconstruction of texts. His emphasis on the interplay between textual criticism and literary interpretation reinforces the idea that editing is not merely a technical exercise, but a crucial aspect of literary scholarship. Thorpe warns against the dangers of excessive emendation, arguing that editors should resist the temptation to improve a text based on subjective preferences. He champions a conservatory approach that respects the integrity of historical documents while still making necessary corrections based on sound critical principles. His analysis of various editorial interventions, from conjectural emendation to modernization of language, reveals the ethical and intellectual responsibilities that accompany textual scholarship. Principles of Textual Criticism remains a foundational text for students and scholars of literary studies, particularly those engaged in the editing of historical and canonical works. Its comprehensive overview of textual theory, combined with its practical insights into the editorial process, makes it an enduring contribution to the field. Thorpe's work highlights the dynamic and evolving nature of textual criticism, demonstrating that the pursuit of textual fidelity is as much an art as it is a science. By foregrounding the interpretative nature of editing, he underscores the importance of critical engagement with texts, ensuring that they continue to be studied, understood, and appreciated across generations.